Chapter 29-28. Bang! Bang! The nine-clawed dragon's sharp claws continuously clawed at the fist seal, resulting in a series of explosions. The fist seal continued to vibrate as cracks began to appear on its surface. How is this possible? How is this possible? Qin Wushang yelled in his heart. This was simply unbelievable. He had already used 100% of his strength and used his ultimate move, but now, he was still at a disadvantage. This was simply inconceivable. He was a sixth-layer heaven god, and had even mastered the sacred divine force. On the other hand, Lu Ming was only a first-layer heaven god. An existence that he had treated as an ant had actually displayed such shocking strength, causing his pride to suffer a great blow. I can't lose. How could I lose to an ant from the Qin Tian starfield? 7 injuries godly fist. 7 injuries stacking. Qin Wushang yelled in his heart. His face turned pale as he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. After spitting out the blood, Qin Wushang's face turned pale, but his fist intent had grown stronger. Bang! 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 Qin Wushang continued to throw out punches. Terrifying fist intents were fired continuously, merging with the fist seal from before, causing the power of his fist seal to skyrocket, emitting a blinding glow. Using your own injuries in exchange for an increase in attack power, such a brainless secret technique? Hee. Lu Ming chuckled coldly as he took a step forward. Godly dragon, come out! Lu Ming yelled. Roar! 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 In the sky, the cries of dragons continued, and another 4 cries were heard. Following this, another 4 nine-clawed dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head. Including the previous one, there were a total of 6 nine-clawed dragon transcendents. After 200 years of cultivation, Lu Ming had already refined 6 godly dragon transcendents. The true power of the godly dragon transcendence technique was gradually revealed. The 6 nine-clawed dragon transcendents lunged at Qin Wushang. The vast dragon aura caused the 9 dragons pulling the Qin clan's chariot to be terrified as they backed off. This was the suppression of rank. In the mystical dragon tribe, the 9-clawed dragon was undoubtedly at the top. The power of 6 nine-clawed dragon dharma forms was astonishing. Moreover, Lu Ming had mastered the battle character secret art. Even if he didn't multiply his battle prowess, any divine skill or secret art would be strengthened by the battle character secret art. The attacks from both sides met in the air and exploded into a shocking collision. Following that, Qin Wushang's fist imprints continuously exploded and crumbled. Puff! Qin Wushang spat out large mouthfuls of blood as his figure retreated rapidly. Lu Ming stepped out. The 6 nine-clawed dragons roared and chased after him. Quick, come and help me suppress this ant. Qin Wushang roared. Even now, he still felt that he was high and mighty, a level higher than Lu Ming. This was the common problem of those who were born into great powers. Just like the geniuses of the Qin Tian starfield, when facing the people of the chaotic astral river, they would look down on the people of the chaotic astral river, thinking that they were superior and had a noble status. As for those who had climbed up from the bottom, they would not have such a mentality. Kill. There were 5 other youths who came with Qin Wushang. At this moment, all of them were charging towards Lu Ming. The moment these 5 youths attacked, the people of the Kongxian school were shocked, because these 5 youths were all terrifying geniuses. All of them had mastered divine powers. 3 of them were at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm, and 2 were at the 5th level of the heavenly god realm. The 3 of them were at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm, and were no weaker than Qin Wushang. The 6 experts joined forces and launched their respective ultimate moves towards Lu Ming. Kid, die. 7 injuries divine fist. Qin Wushang roared. He was injured by Lu Ming, but the power of his fist energy was stronger. He had cultivated a secret technique unique to the Qin clan. The more injured he was, the stronger his fist energy would be. However, facing such an attack, Lu Ming's expression was still calm. Battle character secret, double battle strength. With a thought, Lu Ming activated the double battle strength of the battle character secret art. A powerful force burst out from his body, filling his entire body. The 6 nine-clawed divine dragons roared. As their bodies twisted, they swelled up rapidly. Their bodies grew larger, and they became even more powerful. The 6 nine-clawed dragons lunged at the 6 youths. Meanwhile, Lu Ming condensed a long spear in his hand, which was as huge as a mountain, and slammed it towards one of the youths. The young man was using all his strength to fight against a 9-clawed dragon, and had no ability to resist the attack of the long spear. He was directly suppressed by the spear and was sent flying like a broken sandbag. He was severely injured, and his aura was weak. Following that, Lu Ming attacked another young man with his spear. After Lu Ming activated the double battle strength, trash like Qin Wushang was no longer a match for Lu Ming and was easily crushed. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming continuously attacked with his spear. Every spear attack was able to suppress one person. In an instant, the 5 youths who attacked were all sent flying by Lu Ming and were severely injured. Finally, Lu Ming's cold gaze swept towards Qin Wushang. Qin Wushang screamed in fright and turned to run. You haven't even knelt down, and you want to leave? Lu Ming spoke coldly. He manipulated the 6 divine dragon dharma characteristics and surrounded Qin Wushang. Brat, stop. At this moment, a big man from the Qin clan shouted and stepped forward, wanting to personally deal with Lu Ming. However, a big man from the Wu clan stopped him. Let the younger generation solve their own problems. It's better for the older generation not to interfere. The big man from the Wu clan sneered. This sentence was previously said by the big man from the Qin clan. Now, the big man from the Wu clan returned it to him. You. The big man from the Qin clan was furious. He stared at Lu Ming and said coldly, Qin Wushang is a disciple of the Qin clan. Although he isn't a core disciple, if you want him to kneel, you should think carefully about whether you can bear the consequences. His voice was cold and full of threat. Even if Qin Wushang wasn't a core disciple of the Qin clan, he was still a member of the Qin clan and represented the Qin clan's face. Making Qin Wushang kneel was equivalent to slapping the Qin clan's face. I've never heard of the Qin clan. I only know that if you want someone to pay for something, you should be prepared to pay for it. If he wants me to kneel, then he should be prepared to kneel. Kneel for me. Lu Ming shouted coldly, not giving him any face at all. The 6 nine-clawed dragons' huge dragon claws continuously pressed down. How could Qin Wushang resist? After barely blocking a few moves, he was controlled by the 9-clawed dragon Dharma idol. With a plop, he knelt down in the air in front of Lu Ming. Qin Wushang let out a roar like a pig being slaughtered. This was a great humiliation. He wasn't a core disciple in the Qin clan and didn't have a good life. If this matter were to spread to the Qin clan, his life would be even worse and he would become a disgrace to the Qin clan. At this moment, he even had the heart to die. The other 5 youths from the Qin clan were pale with fear. They secretly rejoiced that they weren't the first to step forward. Otherwise, their ending wouldn't be any better. Chapter 29:29. Scram. With a wave of his hand, a burst of energy sent Qin Wushang flying. A large man from the Qin clan caught Qin Wushang, his expression extremely cold. Brat, you have guts. I hope you never step into the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion in your lifetime. Otherwise, you will regret what you did today. Let's go. The large man from the Qin clan left behind those words, then brought Qin Wushang and the others up to the war chariot. Then, the 9 dragons roared and pulled the war chariot away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Hu Yu Wuya and the others let out a long breath, but their hearts were still very heavy, as if a huge rock was pressing down on them. Although the Kongxian school was temporarily safe, they knew that this matter was far from over. The treasure of the 9 extinction, Heavenly King Mansion being stolen, was definitely a big matter. Immediately, they welcomed Wu Zifeng and the Wu clan into the Kongxian school. After some explanation, Lu Ming found out that when Yu Wuya was young, he had unintentionally become friends with Wu Zifeng's grandfather. The two of them had gone on adventures together and had a friendship of life and death. After that, Yu Linglong and Wu Zifeng were betrothed before they were born. Therefore, Wu Zifeng often went to the Kongxian school, and Yu Linglong also often went to the Wu clan to play. Zifeng, what exactly is going on? In a large hall, Yu Wuya asked Wu Zifeng. I'm also not very clear about the details of this matter. I only know that about a few months ago, the treasure of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, the Nine Extinction Divine Crystal, was suddenly stolen. The thief's methods were extremely brilliant, and no one discovered it. However, the thief still left behind some traces. The experts of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion used those traces to come to a conclusion. The thief is very likely from the Qin Tian star field. Wu Zifeng said. How is that possible? The defense of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion is extremely secretive, and experts are as numerous as clouds. Who in the Qin Tian star field would be able to steal the treasure from the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion? Yu Wuya and the others could not believe it at all. In the Qin Tian star area, Xing Yimou, the dean of the Mystic Academy, had the strength of the third king god realm. However, in the Juju Heavenly King Palace, such a cultivation base was far from enough. Not to mention the third layer of the king god realm, even the fourth or fifth layer of the king god realm was far from enough. Who in the Qin Tian star field had the ability to steal the treasures of the Nine Extremes Heavenly King Mansion? I'm also confused about that. However, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace won't give up. This time, it's not only the Qin clan that has come, the other clans have also sent their people. Wu Zifeng said. Everyone's expression became even more serious. This matter was not simple at all. Everyone chatted for a while more before dispersing. Sure enough, a few days later, news began to spread throughout the Qin Tian star field. The Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion and the various aristocratic families came. Not only was the Kongshin school visited, but all the major forces in the Qin Tian star field were also visited. For example, the three overlord forces, the Ice Soul clan, and the Scarlet Flame clan. The people of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion were overbearing. No matter which force they belonged to, they would check their storage rings and Dantian's Sea of Consciousness. The other forces were not like the Kongshin school, who had the Wu clan's help. Facing the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion and the other major forces, all of them were helpless. They could only accept the inspection of their storage rings and Dantian's Sea of Consciousness. Even the Scarlet Flame clan and the Ice Soul clan were no exception. However, the result was that they did not find anything. There was no clue about the Nine Extinction Divine Crystal. The people of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion were furious. They gave the Qin Tian star field 10 years. If they did not hand over the Nine Extinction Divine Crystal after 10 years, they would send an army to trample the Qin Tian star field. For a time, the people of the Qin Tian star field were in a state of panic. Who stole the treasure of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion? Why aren't they handing it over? Do they want to kill everyone? Who is it? For their own selfish reasons, they have harmed the entire star field. They will die a horrible death. Many people cursed. The Qin Tian star field was in a state of turmoil, but they did not find anything. Not long after, another piece of news spread throughout the Qin Tian star field. During this period of time, the geniuses of the various major forces of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion entered the Qin Tian star field one after another. There were even some geniuses who set up an arena in the Myriad Spirit Star to challenge the geniuses of the Qin Tian star field. In the end, the geniuses of the Qin Tian star field were crushed and did not obtain a single victory. Ants will always be ants. So useless. What geniuses? They are all trash. The geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion were extremely powerful. They belittled the geniuses of the Qin Tian star field as if they were worthless. Some people were furious and went to challenge the geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. However, the result was destined. No one won. This made the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion even more arrogant. If the younger generation of the Qin Tian star field can defeat us, we can extend the time limit to 100 years, or even 1,000 years. In the end, some of the geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion said. This made the experts of the various major forces of the Qin Tian star field excited. If they could really extend the time limit, they might have a chance to find the person who stole the treasure and avoid being annihilated. In an instant, the top geniuses of the various major forces moved out and rushed to the Myriad Spirit Star. For example, the divine princes of the three overlords, as well as the top geniuses of the Ice Soul race and the Scarlet Flame race, all rushed to the Myriad Spirit Star. Of course, The various major forces also secretly sent experts to the Myriad Spirit Star. In an instant, the Myriad Spirit Star, the largest trading planet in the Qin-Tian star field, became extremely lively. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, Ouyang Qingxiang, Yu Linglong, Wu Zifeng, and the others also came to the Myriad Spirit Star. The arena set up by the geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion is in the central square. Let's go take a look, Lu Ming said. Soon, they arrived at the central square. The central square was a huge open space. In the middle of the open space, there was a huge battle arena. During this period, the area was crowded with people. On one side of the battle arena, there was a row of seats. On the seats, there was a group of young men and women. These young men and women were all arrogant. Their eyes swept across the crowd in all directions with faint disdain. They were all geniuses from the various major families of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. There are quite a lot of people. Unfortunately, they're all trash. None of them are decent. A young man in a golden robe said indifferently, "That's right. They're all trash. No matter what, this is still a star field. It's really disappointing to have just a few cats and dogs." Another young man said disdainfully. When the surrounding people of the Qin-Tian star field heard this, they were furious. "Humph, the real geniuses of our Qin-Tian star field haven't arrived yet. Don't be arrogant." Someone couldn't help but say, "Oh, and the real geniuses? Don't tell me you're just bragging? Ha ha ha." The young man in the golden robe laughed disdainfully. "Who's bragging? I believe those geniuses will arrive soon. At that time, they might be able to fight with you." The person from the Qin-Tian star field said. Chapter 29:30. So much nonsense. If you have the ability, then get him to come out. The golden-robed youth coldly shouted, "This brat! It's this brat!" Suddenly, a youth on the stage roared as he furiously stared at Lu Ming. That's right, he was staring at Lu Ming. That youth had a scale between his eyebrows. He was one of the 6 youths who had gone to the Kongxian school with Qin Wushang. In fact, Lu Ming had seen this youth when he arrived, but Lu Ming had no intention of avoiding him. He had come here to find an opportunity to fight, so why should he avoid him? All of a sudden, all the youths in the fighting ring looked at Lu Ming. "This is the guy who defeated you and humiliated Qin Wushang?" Another youth coldly said with a cold gaze. This youth also had a scale between his eyebrows. It was silver-white and flickered under the sunlight. Clearly, this youth was also from the Qin clan. This person was called Qin Wuyo. That's right, it's him. It's this guy. The youth who had gone to the Kongxian school roared. "Good, very good." Qin Wuyo's indifferent voice sounded, and his body emitted a cold killing intent. Boom. He abruptly stood up from his seat as a berserk aura spread out in all directions. Divine-grade divine power. He has divine-grade divine power. What a terrifying aura. Heavens, he's a godson. Many people around the stage roared. Godsons were rare in the Qin-Tian star field, and each one of them was a peerless genius whose name shook the vast starry sky. Now, a random person from the other side was such a person. It was truly shocking. "You dare to humiliate my Qin clan's disciple? Although he's trash, it's not up to you to humiliate him. Now, get up here and accept your death." Qin Wuyo's cold voice sounded, and the gaze he looked at Lu Ming became even colder. Everyone's gaze turned to Lu Ming. Who is this? In the Qin-Tian star field, many people did not know Lu Ming. After all, only a small number of people knew about the battle in the galaxy for the planet core. Most people didn't know that Lu Ming had fought with Emojui, the divine prince of the Mystic Academy, and even suppressed him. "I know him. He's a saint from Kongxian School. It's said that he's very talented. The holy son of Kongxian School? The gap between him and the other party is too big. He probably doesn't dare to accept the challenge, right? That's for sure. He's a divine son. Wouldn't he be courting death if he went up?" Around the fighting ring, many people were discussing, "Who are you?" Lu Ming's expression was calm as he spoke. "Qin clan, Qin Wuyo." Qin Wuyo said, "Sorry, you misunderstood me. What I meant was, who do you think you are? You want me to fight, and I have to fight?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. What did you say? Qin Wuyo's expression instantly darkened, and his murderous intent became several times colder. What's wrong with your ears? Lu Ming said faintly. Around them, the hearts of many people from the Qin Tian Star Zone beat wildly. They were all impressed by Lu Ming's courage. Some people even thought that although Lu Ming didn't dare to fight, he was really brave to speak to the other party like that. You're courting death. Qin Wuyo's voice became extremely cold. As soon as he finished speaking, his body dashed down like an angry lion, pouncing on its prey. 6th level Heavenly God Realm. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. He saw through the other party's cultivation as soon as he attacked. A 6th level Heavenly God Realm with Divine Grade Divine Force. This person was likely to be at the same level as Emojui. His combat strength was far above Qin Wushang's. Lu Ming circulated the divine force in his body and was about to attack. Want to fight? I'll take you on. Suddenly, a voice was heard not far away from Lu Ming. Then, a burly figure dashed out, and a blazing aura filled the air. Boom! The two figures met in midair and collided fiercely. Like two meteors colliding, circles of shock waves were formed, rushing in all directions. It was extremely terrifying. Then, the two figures trembled and floated backward. It's him. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The one who rushed out to exchange blows with Qin Wuyo was the godson of the boundless sacred ground. Song Yin Pejun, it's Song Yin Pejun. He's made his move. A godson has arrived. Haha, this is going to be interesting. Lu Ming is really lucky. Otherwise, he would have been in danger just now. Seeing Song Yin Pejun make his move, many people were overjoyed. Song Yin Pejun, as the top figure of the younger generation in the Qin Tian Star Zone, was far more powerful than the other Sky Prides. With him making his move, they could finally fight with the Sky Prides of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Interesting. I didn't expect there to be a decent opponent in the Qin Tian Star Zone. Qin Wuyo stared at Song Yin Pejun, revealing a strong fighting spirit. Cut the crap. Make your move. I want to see how strong the Sky Prides of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion are. Song Yin Pejun shouted coldly. The burning aura on his body became hotter and hotter. His fighting spirit was stronger than his opponent's. Dong. Song Yin Pejun moved and rushed to the fighting stage. His intention was self-evident. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish, Qin Wuyo said ferociously. His body flashed and rushed to the fighting stage. Boom. Without any superfluous words, Song Yin Pejun and Qin Wuyo fought fiercely. 7 Injuries Divine Fist. Qin Wuyo's body glowed as he used the 7 Injuries Divine Fist. 2 terrifying fist prints burst out and crushed Song Yin Pejun. Although it was the same 7 Injuries Divine Fist, Qin Wuyo's was much stronger than Qin Wushang's. Song Yin Exploding Fist. The Song Yin Army Destroyer was also a fist technique, but his fist technique was different. It was direct and domineering, and every punch was like a star exploding, containing boundless power. The two of them clashed head-on and fought fiercely. The huge fighting ring was filled with the power of their fists. In an instant, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows, and there was no clear winner. Boom. In the end, the two of them retreated and stood on opposite sides of the fighting stage. Interesting. I didn't expect there to be a decent opponent in the Qin Tian Star Zone. However, one is far from enough. Are there any decent experts? Come out together. The golden-robed young man in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion stood up and said lazily as he looked around. Clang. As soon as the golden-robed young man finished speaking, the sound of a sword rang out not far away. Then, a sword radiance flashed and a young man with a sword on his back appeared above the fighting stage. This young man was handsome. He was the divine son of the invincible Kinzo, Sword Dao Wuji. As soon as Sword Dao Wuji appeared, a demonic light flashed from another direction. A young man in a black robe appeared above the fighting stage. He was the divine son of the Mystic Academy, Emojui. The divine sons of the 3 overlord forces had gathered. Interesting. Anyone else? The golden-robed young man asked again. Since you want to meet him, let's meet him. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. In the sky, a young man in a white robe slowly walked over. Chapter 29:31. Every time the white-robed youth took a step, a snow-white divine bird would appear under his feet, making him look like an immortal. He looks a little like Bing Qing. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It's Bing Xian, the seventh prince of the Ice Spirit clan, the strongest genius. Someone exclaimed. Just as I thought. Lu Ming pondered. No wonder he looked a little like Bing Qing. Bing Qing had told him that there were 4 people in the ancient god world who had cultivated the ancient god body. Her 7th brother was one of them. However, this name was really feminine. However, the temperament of the Ice Immortal was quite fitting for this name. Boom! Just as the Ice Immortal came out, a hot aura came from the other side. A wave of heat spread out. Then, a burly young man stepped out and appeared on the other side of the Ice Immortal. Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. Someone said that person's name. This youth was a peerless genius from the Scarlet Flame clan and was as famous as Bing Xian. The appearance of Bing Xian and Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine made the golden-robed youth's eyes narrow. This was because the two of them gave him a lot of pressure. Interesting. I didn't expect the Qin Tian Star Field to have so many interesting geniuses. The golden-robed youth said coldly. However, his expression finally became more serious and no longer showed his lazy expression. Does what you said before still count? At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. He was asking about the other party's promise that if the geniuses of the Qin Tian Star Field could defeat them, they would give the Qin Tian Star Field more time. Of course, as long as you can defeat us, we will give you 100 years. The golden-robed youth said, 100 years is too short. As long as we defeat you, you will have to leave the Qin Tian Star Field forever and never come back. Lu Ming said, Leave forever? How arrogant of you. That's impossible. The golden-robed youth's face darkened as he said coldly, What? You're not confident? Lu Ming sneered. What a joke. Although you have a few geniuses, you want to defeat us with just the few of you? What a joke. The golden-robed youth sneered. Then why don't we agree? Lu Ming retorted sarcastically. It's a matter of principle if you don't agree. It doesn't mean that you have a chance to win. It's absolutely impossible for you to withdraw forever. However, I can report it to the higher-ups and ask them to delay it for a while longer. After saying that, the golden-robed young man took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent out a message. Then, he waited quietly. It didn't take long for the young man in a golden robe to receive a reply. His expression changed, and then he said, If you can defeat us, then we'll give you 1,000 years at most. That's the longest limit we can give you. Of course, you won't have the chance. The golden-robed young man was still full of confidence. Whether or not there's a chance, we'll only know after we fight. If it's 1,000 years, so be it. Let's fight. Lu Ming immediately agreed. Emojui, Sword Dao Wuji, Song Yin, Jun Per, the Scarlet Flame Demon Pine, the Ice Immortal, and the rest of the geniuses remained silent. Many people found it strange that Lu Ming was acting on his own, but Emojui and the others didn't stop him. In front of these divine sons, did Lu Ming have the right to do so? Naturally, they didn't know that Emojui and the others were aware of Lu Ming's strength. They had long regarded Lu Ming as someone on the same level as them. As for the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demon Pine, although they hadn't fought with Lu Ming before, they were well informed. Naturally, they knew about the fight between Lu Ming and Emojui. Therefore, when Lu Ming agreed, they didn't stand out to oppose. If they could get 1,000 years, it would be good enough. It was much better than 10 years. Wait a minute. Now is not the time to fight. The battle will be held 3 months later. The location will be here. The golden-robed young man suddenly said, 3 months later? That's fine too. Lu Ming's heart moved, and he nodded in agreement. He understood that the other party had delayed for 3 months because there were still geniuses who hadn't arrived. However, he also needed time. How will we fight in 3 months? What are the rules? The Ice Immortal asked. It's very simple. We'll have an arena battle. Both sides will defend the arena. The last person standing on the arena will be the winner. Of course, there will be a limit to the number of people on each side. Otherwise, the battle will be endless. How about this? I'll give you a chance. We'll send 9 people, and you can send 18. How about that? The golden-robed young man said. Okay, it's settled. The Ice Immortal immediately agreed. It would be a bastard if he didn't take advantage of the situation. Although the number of people didn't matter much in a battle between top geniuses, this was an arena battle. Both sides would take turns to fight. The more people there were, the more they could consume the opponent's divine power. More or less, it would be of some use. Then it's settled. 3 months later, let's fight here. Let's see what kind of battle strength the younger generation of Chintian Starfield has. Let's go. After the golden-robed young man finished speaking, he turned into a ray of golden light and soared into the sky, leaving the place. Kid. Someone helped you block today, but you won't have this opportunity every time. I hope you won't meet me in the next arena battle. Qin Wuyo glanced at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Qin Wuyo, I'm afraid you've made a mistake. I guarantee that this kid won't dare to fight in the next arena battle. Another young man from the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King residence sneered. There's no need to use such a low-level method to provoke me. I'll definitely participate in the next arena battle. Lu Ming said indifferently. I hope so. Qin Wuyo said and left the place. The people of the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King residence left one after another. Let's discuss the candidates for the next arena battle 3 months later. The Ice Immortal looked at the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. Emojuyi, Jin Daoji, Lu Ming, Song Yin, and Pajun, you guys can discuss the candidates. It's fine as long as you leave me a spot. Lu Ming said, and left with Chiu Yu and the others. Lu Ming, he's really going to fight? He really ate a bear's heart and leopard's guts. If it wasn't for Song Yin and Pajun, he would have died. For the sake of his face. He was provoked in front of so many people. If he didn't accept the challenge, wouldn't he lose all his face? That's true. However, it's unwise to risk his life for the sake of his face. The surrounding people were discussing animatedly. How would these people know how powerful young master is? When Chiu Yu heard this, she pouted unhappily. It's fine. Lu Ming smiled slightly and didn't mind. They left the place and found an inn to stay in. Lu Ming stayed in a guest room alone and sat cross-legged on the bed. Old Liang, 200 years have passed. How's your refining of the star core's energy? Lu Ming asked. Chapter 29:32. Given his current cultivation level, Lu Ming did not have the slightest confidence to participate in the arena battle this time. The geniuses of the 9 Extinction, Heavenly Emperor Palace were unfathomable. He had no idea how strong they were. The ones that appeared this time might only be a drop in the ocean. Lu Ming wanted to improve himself to his strongest state. Lu Ming needed the energy of the star core to break through to the next level. For the past 200 years, Lu Ming had not used the energy of the star core. He had been absorbing the energy himself. Otherwise, his cultivation would not have improved so slowly. After 200 years, the quantifier formula should have refined a portion of the energy. I did refine a little, but not a lot. It's because your cultivation is too low that my refining speed is greatly reduced. The quantifier formula complained. It should be enough for me to break through to the second layer heaven god realm. Lu Ming muttered. Why was it that he was the one to blame in the end? Your cultivation has reached the peak first layer heaven god realm. You should be able to break through to the second layer heaven god realm. However, since you've mastered 10 different kinds of god force, it's hard to say if you can break through to the third layer heaven god realm. The quantifier formula said, you already have so much energy. Come, give it a try. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. If he could break through to the next level, he would have a greater chance of success. Then you're ready. The quantifier formula's voice echoed. Following it, the quantifier formula in his divine sense emitted a blinding glow. A pure energy burst out from it and surged into Lu Ming's limbs and bones. Lu Ming fully executed the universe 10,000 Dao art and began to absorb the energy to break through to the next level. The energy was too strong. Lu Ming could feel his body swelling as it was filled with wild energy. Such a strong energy, but it only refined a small part of the star core. Lu Ming was overjoyed instead of being shocked. The energy was extremely pure. Even though it was strong, it was being absorbed at a rapid pace too. Under the effect of the universe 10,000 Tao art, the energy was rapidly absorbed and turned into God force for Lu Ming. The flames of the 10 godly flames in his dantian grew brighter. Boom! A rumbling sound came from Lu Ming's body as the flames of the 10 divine flames strung together. In an instant, Lu Ming's aura rose by a large margin. Second level Heavenly God, breakthrough. After breaking through to the second level of the Heavenly God realm, Lu Ming did not stop, because there was still a lot of energy left in his body. Lu Ming continued to refine this surge of energy. His cultivation level was increasing rapidly. Stable second-level Celestial God, early level second-level Celestial God, mid-level second-level Celestial God. Very soon, Lu Ming broke through to peak second-level Celestial Deity. He was not far from the third level of the Celestial God realm. There was still some energy left in his body, but it was not enough to break through to the third level of the Heavenly God realm. Do it in one go. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with determination. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of divine crystals appeared on the ground. These divine crystals were all mid-grade divine crystals. The divine chi within them was many times denser than low-grade divine crystals. This was a rare opportunity. Lu Ming wanted to break through to the third level of the Celestial God realm in one go. Bang, bang, bang! The pile of divine crystals exploded, turning into rolling divine chi. As soon as Lu Ming opened his mouth, the divine chi rushed into Lu Ming's mouth like a tidal wave and was swallowed by Lu Ming. Rumble, rumble! Lu Ming began to refine the divine chi with all his might. He wanted to combine this divine chi with the remaining energy from before to break through to the third level of the Heavenly God realm. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Lu Ming had accumulated a large amount of energy by refining the divine crystals. Let's begin. With a thought, the energy from refining the divine crystals merged with the previous energy and began to break through to the third level of the Heavenly God realm. 3 months had passed. A large number of living beings had gathered at the central square of the myriad spirit star. The Qin Tian star field was filled with people from all kinds of races. This time, even many of the top experts from the various factions had come. For example, the elders of various factions were secretly observing. After all, this battle was not only a battle between the younger generation, but it was also related to the safety of the Qin Tian star field. The people of the 9 Extinction Heavenly Emperor Palace are here. Someone suddenly yelled. In the distance, several rays of light were flying toward the square. There were a few dozen of them. Among them, there were more than 10 older ones. It was obvious that they were all experts with outstanding strength. The rest were all young people. These people stood in the air above the fighting ring and looked around proudly. Compared to the number of people around the square, their numbers were pitiful. However, their aura had suppressed the people of the Qin Tian star field instead. Qin Tian star field, where are your people? Come out. It was the young man in a golden robe again. He stepped forward, and his voice echoed across the square. The ice immortal stepped forward and appeared in the sky. Following it, the crimson flame demonic pine, Emojui, Sword Daowuji, and the others stepped forward. There were 17 people in total. Almost all of them were geniuses from the Crimson Flame tribe, the Ice Soul tribe, and the 3 Overlord factions. Only 17 people. It seems like one of you is missing. Where's the arrogant kid from last time? Why isn't he here? The young man in a golden robe glanced around and said with a smile. The Ice Immortal and the others looked at each other, and their eyes sank. They were indeed short of one person. That was because Lu Ming had not arrived yet. It's Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't come. Where's Lu Ming? He wouldn't dare to come at such a crucial moment, right? He definitely won't dare to come. He offended the geniuses of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace. Why would he dare to come? He'll only die if he comes. I guessed it. He's just being stubborn and doesn't dare to come out. The people of the Qin Tian star field started to murmur. Most of them felt that Lu Ming didn't dare to come. Haha, that kid only knows how to talk. He's a coward. Qin Wuyo sneered. Who said that the young master doesn't dare to come? At this moment, a shout came from afar. Following it, a few figures stepped forward. It was Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others. The one who spoke was Autumn Moon. Lu Ming wore a faint smile on his face. Not long ago, he had finally broken through to the third layer heavenly god realm. It was also because of that he was late. He really dares to come. Many people's eyes flickered. It was somewhat unexpected. Very well. Qin Wuyo's eyes flickered ferociously as he licked his lips. He did not conceal his cold, murderous intent. You guys wait for me here, Lu Ming said to Autumn Moon and the others. He then stepped forward and arrived beside the Ice Immortal and the others. The 18 people of the Qin Tian starfield had all arrived. Who are the 9 of you? The Ice Immortal asked. Bang bang. As soon as the Ice Immortal finished speaking, a young man from the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace stepped forward. Including the young man in a golden robe and Qin Wushang, there were a total of 9 people. 9 people, 7 men and 2 women. The Ice Immortal and the others glanced at the 9 people with a stern expression, because there were some people among them that they could not see through at all. Chapter 29:33. Since everyone is here, I'll be the first to defend the ring. The golden-robed young man nodded at a young man with a horn on his head. The young man nodded and landed on the fighting ring with a flash of his body. Su Hua from the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Residence. Who wants to fight me? The young man with a horn on his head shouted. He scanned Lu Ming and the others with a powerful aura. 6th level Heavenly God. The single-horned young man, Su Hua, was a 6th-layer heaven god. Judging from his aura, the god power that he possessed was most likely at the saint grade. I'll fight you. A cold voice was heard. Then, a sword light flashed and a young man with a long sword on his back appeared on the fighting ring. The young man was from the Invincible Kinzo. Invincible Kinzo, Zhuoyu, the young man with a long sword on his back said. A sword light soared into the sky. His aura was on par with Su Hua's. He was also a 6th-level heavenly god. Zhuoyu's reputation in the Invincible Kinzo was on par with Shuobudong. He was also a genius who was second only to the sword principal Wuji. It seems like you're a sword cultivator. Interesting. Come on, let me see how strong a sword cultivator from the Qin Tian starfield is. Su Hua licked his lips and his eyes lit up. As you wish. Zhuoyu snorted. As soon as he finished speaking, the battle sword on his back was unsheathed at an astonishing speed. Many people didn't see how he unsheathed his sword. They only saw a beam of sword light, like an immortal flying from the heavens, breaking through the air to kill Su Hua. However, Su Hua's speed was not slow at all. Whoosh! A dazzling white saber light shot out from his hand and slashed forward. Clang! 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 In the next instant, the two of them clashed. Sword light and saber light kept colliding in the air. In a breath's time, the two of them had exchanged at least a few hundred blows. In the next instant, the two of them separated at the same time and retreated. Who won? The crowd quickly observed carefully. On the surface, both of them were 6th-level heavenly gods. The divine power they controlled was also divine grade. There should not be a big difference in their strength. At this moment, puff, Zhuoyu's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Clang! He used his sword to support his body, barely preventing himself from falling down. Zhuoyu lost? How is this possible? Many people were shocked. When they looked carefully, they found that there was a deep cut on Zhuoyu's chest that had almost cut him in half. The terrifying blade energy continued to drill into Zhuoyu's body, forcing him to channel all his divine power to defend himself. Su Hua, on the other hand, was calm and composed. His breathing was steady, and he was completely fine. You're pretty good to be able to take a wave of my attacks and not die. However, as a sword cultivator, you only have this bit of attack power. You really disappoint me, Su Hua said indifferently with a hint of disdain in his voice. Puff. Zhuoyu spat out another mouthful of blood. His eyes were blank. As a sword cultivator, he was known for his powerful attacks. However, in the collision just now, he was completely at a disadvantage and was no match for his opponent. One had to know that they were at the same level. Su Hua's divine power was only at the saint level. not the divine level. It was hard for him to accept this, that Su Hua is simply too proficient in utilizing his divine power. Both his god skills and secret techniques are extremely powerful. Bing Xian said with a solemn expression, as expected of the prodigy of the Nine Extinction, Heavenly King Palace. His use of divine power is truly amazing. Imo Jui also said with a solemn expression, although the strength of their divine power was the same, the difference in the way they used it would result in a huge difference in power. It was just like how an ordinary person could only use brute force to attack recklessly, while a martial arts expert could precisely use this strength to unleash power that was several times stronger. Naturally, there would be a huge difference in combat power. Therefore, although Zhui Yu's cultivation seemed to be on par with Su Hua, he was easily defeated. Since you can take a wave of my attacks without dying, I won't kill you. Scram. Su Hua said with a wave of his hand. Junior brother Zhua, back down. Jiandao Wuji said. Zhui Yu had no choice but to back down. Who else? Come up and fight. Su Hua said loudly. I'll do it. A young man stepped out from the Mystic Academy and landed on the fighting ring. This young man was also a peerless prodigy. Whether it was his divine power or cultivation, he was at the same level as Zhua Yu. Unfortunately, he was no match for Su Hua. After exchanging a few blows, he was severely injured by Su Hua and fled the fighting ring in a panic. His face was pale. 2 consecutive defeats. This made the hearts of the people from the Qin Tian Starfield sink. The other side had only sent out a 6th-level celestial god Holy Sun. The Qin Tian Starfield had sent out someone of the same level, but the situation was one-sided. How were they going to fight? Were they going to send out a divine sun? If that was the case, the situation would be too passive. We can't make a move now. Otherwise, we'll be too passive. Continue to send people up and exhaust his divine power. He's using his ultimate move continuously, so his divine power will be exhausted quickly. Bing Xian and the others discussed in secret and finally decided to send more experts up. Then, the boundless sacred ground sent out a prodigy to fight Su Hua. This time, the 18 people from the Qin Tian Starfield were at least Zhua Yu. The 3 overlords, the Ice Soul race, and the Flame race had sent out all their prodigies. This time, the boundless sacred ground's prodigy didn't fight head-on. Instead, he used a prolonged battle to exhaust his opponent's divine power. The 2 sides exchanged close to 100 blows. In the end, the boundless sacred ground's prodigy was no match for his opponent and was blasted off the fighting ring. 3 consecutive defeats. The other side had only sent out a single prodigy to defeat 3 of their prodigies. If the other side sent out prodigies who were invincible in the same level, how were they going to compete? At this time, a prodigy from the Ice Soul race stepped onto the fighting ring. The moment the Ice Soul race's prodigy attacked, the entire fighting ring was frozen. Even the space seemed to be frozen. Su Hua used a swift blade. His attacks were fast, and his movements were also extremely fast. It just so happened that he was countered by the Ice Soul race's prodigy, so his attack speed was greatly reduced. Moreover, he had fought 3 battles in a row, so his divine power was greatly exhausted. For a moment, he was actually at a disadvantage. There's hope. The eyes of many people from the Qin Tian Starfield lit up. They felt that there was hope for victory. After the Ice Soul race's prodigy gained control of the situation, he launched a storm of attacks that forced Su Hua to retreat. Poof! An ice sword slashed Su Hua's shoulder, causing blood to spurt out. Lose, Ice Sword Dominion. The Ice Soul race's prodigy used his ultimate move. He condensed hundreds of ice swords that sealed off all directions and shrouded Su Hua. Su Hua quickly attacked with his blade and destroyed the ice swords. However, there were too many ice swords and he couldn't block them all. Poof! Finally, an ice sword pierced Su Hua's stomach and sent him flying out of the fighting ring. Chapter 29:34. You too. Seeing that Su Hua was about to fly out of the battle stage, he roared. The horn on his forehead shone and flew out, turning into a saber and slashing at the Ice Soul Clan's genius. The Ice Soul Clan's genius screamed as he was hit. He retreated and fell out of the battle stage together with Su Hua. Suhua coughed out blood after falling out of the battle stage. He quickly took out a healing pill and consumed it. The Ice Soul Clan's genius was more seriously injured and almost died. An expert from the Ice Soul Clan quickly intervened and saved his life. Both sides were heavily injured in this battle. A genius from the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace had defeated 4 of them. After this battle, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace sent out another genius who was no weaker than Su Hua. The Qin Tian Starfield had learned their lesson this time. They had more people and used a method of attrition. They didn't aim to win at first, but to exhaust their opponent's divine power. Just like that, the Qin Tian Starfield defeated 2 geniuses in a row, and the third one was heavily injured. In this way, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace was left with 7 geniuses. The Qin Tian Starfield had lost 7 geniuses and was left with 11. The gap between the two sides was quickly closing. The situation was getting worse for the Qin Tian Starfield. "I'll go next." A cold voice sounded. Qin Wuyo stepped onto the battle stage of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace. "They've sent out a divine son." Everyone's eyes narrowed. Qin Wuyo landed on the battle stage and looked at Lu Ming. "Kid, get down here and fight with me." Qin Wuyo shouted coldly. He didn't hide his cold killing intent. "You're not qualified for me to fight," Lu Ming said indifferently. He didn't plan to fight. The Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace definitely had stronger geniuses. It wasn't the right time for him to fight. He couldn't expose his strength too early. He could only fight at the crucial moment. This battle concerned the safety of the Qin Tian Starfield. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't act on impulse. However, others didn't know what Lu Ming was thinking. When they heard Lu Ming say that, they thought that Lu Ming was afraid. "I don't have the qualifications to make you attack. Ha ha ha, I really don't know if you're arrogant or ignorant." Qin Wuyo laughed heartily, his eyes incomparably cold. He was an existence that controlled divine power. Lu Ming actually said that he wasn't qualified enough for Lu Ming to make a move. "What a joke." "I'm telling the truth," Lu Ming said indifferently. "How shameless." Right now, the people of the Qin Sky Starfield were naturally on Lu Ming's side. However, they couldn't help but lament that Lu Ming was really shameless. He clearly didn't dare to make a move, yet he said that the other party wasn't qualified for him to make a move. Back then, the other party was someone who had fought against Song Yan's army. Such a person was not enough for Lu Ming to deal with. To blow one's own horn, of course, everyone only thought this in their hearts. At this moment, they naturally wouldn't help Qin Wuyo to force Lu Ming. In order to survive, "You're really willing to say anything?" Qin Wuyo's anger soared to the sky, but Lu Ming refused to attack. Helpless, he could only look at the others and roar, "Who's going to fight with me? Who should we send?" Bing Xian, Scarlet Flame Devil Pine, Emoji, and the others began to discuss. "This Qin Wuyo is very strong. I don't have the confidence to face him." Song Yan and defeating armies frowned. Of course, they were discussing through transmission. "I feel that we shouldn't waste our advantage in numbers. Let them exhaust this person's divine power first, then we'll attack and take him down," Emoji said. Right now, they still had 11 people. Apart from Bing Xian, Scarlet Flame Devil Pine, Emoji, Sword Dao Wuji, Song Yan, defeating armies, and Lu Ming, the other 5 were all 6th-level Heavenly God Holy Sons. Against a genius like Qin Wuyo, they were definitely not his match. However, they could exhaust his divine power. In terms of fighting and exhausting the opponent's divine power, it's obviously the Ice Soul race. Scarlet Flame Devil Pine smiled faintly. Bing Xian's expression sank. Scarlet Flame Devil Pine clearly didn't have good intentions. Sending someone to exhaust Qin Wuyo's divine power was extremely dangerous. If they weren't careful, there was a risk of dying. "That's right, I also think so. No one is more suitable than the Ice Soul race to exhaust their divine power," Emoji also said. Bing Xian was also helpless when several people spoke up. "Bing Hu, you go. Remember, be careful. Only fight with the opponent. If the situation isn't right, rush down the stage and admit defeat." Bing Xian looked at a youth from the Ice Soul race. "Okay." Bing Hu nodded and jumped onto the stage. Standing far away from Qin Wuyo, You actually sent trash to fight with me? Are you trying to exhaust my divine power first? Haha, how laughable. Qin Wuyo sneered, seeing through Bing Xian and the others' thoughts. Ice Seal. Bing, who was the first to attack. He slammed his palm down on the stage. Endless cold energy surged out, freezing the entire stage. Incomparably sharp ice swords stabbed into the ground. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless ice swords formed and enveloped Qin Wuyo. Insignificant skill. Break for me. Qin Wuyo shouted coldly. Dazzling light burst out from his body. Terrifying divine power formed a wave of divine power that rushed out. Pong, pong, pong. The ice swords that were rushing towards him, along with the surrounding ice, instantly exploded. 7 injuries. Divine fist. Qin Wuyo took a step forward and threw a punch at Bing Hu. Boom, boom, boom. Wherever the fist energy passed, all the ice would shatter into pieces and scatter in all directions. The fist energy didn't stop, continuing to press down on Bing Hu. Ice sword slash. Bing Hu shouted and clenched his fists. Endless cold energy gathered and formed a huge ice sword, slashing down on Qin Wuyo's fist energy. Boom. The ice sword collided with the fist energy, causing a violent tremor. But in the next moment, Bing Hu's body shook violently. The ice sword in his hand exploded and his body madly retreated. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood in the air. Both of them were at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm, but one of them controlled Saint Grade Divine Power, while the other controlled Divine Grade Divine Power. The difference in battle strength was truly shocking. Bing Hu was no match for Qin Wuyo. He was completely suppressed. Die! Qin Wuyo shouted coldly. His body turned into a ray of light, charging towards Bing Hu. Not good. Bing Hu, quickly retreat. Retreat from the stage. Bing Xian's expression changed greatly, and she immediately transmitted her voice to Bing Hu. Bing Hu was also shocked. He circulated his divine power with all his might, wanting to retreat and escape from the stage. But he had just been sent flying, and his body was no longer as nimble. It was already too late when he wanted to retreat. Die! Qin Wuyo shouted and punched out with both fists. A terrifying fist energy broke out from his body and charged towards Bing Hu. In the blink of an eye, the fist energy arrived in front of Bing Hu. Under such circumstances, Bing Hu could only use all his strength to resist. He placed a shield in front of him. They were all condensed from ice, and there were a total of 9 layers. Chapter 29:35. However, even with so many layers of defense, Bing Hu could not change his fate. Boom, boom. When Qin Wuyo's 7 wounds fist force came crashing down, the 9 layers of ice shield shattered one after another. Bang! The fist force landed on Bing Hu's body. Bing Hu screamed as his body crashed heavily onto the fighting stage. Countless bones in his body were broken. His body was like a pile of mud as he laid on the ground with blood flowing out continuously. However, he was not dead yet. However, Qin Wuyo did not stop there. Looking down from above, he condensed a long spear in his hand and threw it towards Bing Hu. Puff! The long spear directly pierced through Bing Hu's forehead. This time, Bing Hu had completely fallen. Damn it! Bing Xian roared as she stared at Qin Wuyo. She roared, "He was already defeated just now. Why did you still want to kill him?" "In my hands, defeat means death," Qin Wuyo said coldly. "You." Bing Xian was furious. "Defeat means death. I'll kill you." Song Yin defeating armies roared as he rushed onto the fighting stage. His body was emitting a scorching aura. "You should have made your move earlier. You asked a piece of trash to die. Do you really think you can exhaust my divine power? You're delusional." Qin Wuyo sneered. "Kill." Song Yin defeating armies roared as his body was covered in flames as he charged towards Qin Wuyo. 7 wounds divine fist. Qin Wuyo used the 7 wounds divine fist to fight Song Yin defeating armies. The two of them had fought before, and there was no clear victor. This time, the battle was even more intense. Boom, boom. Both of their attacks were domineering. Their fists collided continuously, and in an instant, they had exchanged over 100 punches. Raging Fire Guardian. Suddenly, Song Yin defeating armies roared. The flames on his body burned even more fiercely. The endless flames condensed into a giant that was over 100 meters tall. This giant was holding a fire wolf tooth mace. It was extraordinarily mighty. Raging Inferno Vajra. Song Yan's army destroyer has actually cultivated the Raging Inferno Vajra. Song Yan's talent is indeed shocking, to be able to master such a secret technique. His strength is definitely on par with Emoju Yi and the Wuji sword art. Many people cried out in surprise. In the past, when Emojuri and Jiandao Wuji cultivated the ancient god physique, many people thought that Song Yan and Pajuan would be surpassed. However, now that they had seen Song Yan's army destroyer cultivate the Raging Inferno Guardian, they knew that Song Yan's combat strength wasn't weak at all. Kill. Song Yan's army destroyer roared. The Raging Fire Vajra roared and swung its mace towards Qin Wuyo. Facing the Raging Fire Guardian, a serious look flashed across Qin Wuyo's eyes. Puff. Qin Wuyo's face suddenly turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Fresh blood gathered on his fists, making his fists even more powerful. The 7 injuries divine fist, the more injured one was, the more powerful it would be. Boom. Boom. Qin Wuyo wasn't afraid at all. He rushed towards the Raging Fire Guardian and continuously threw out the 7 injuries divine fists, engaging in a fierce battle with Song Yan's army destroyer. The battle between the two had reached its climax, and both of them had used their ultimate moves. Boom. The Raging Fire Guardian's power was shocking, and the temperature of the flames was frighteningly high. In the battle, it actually suppressed Qin Wuyo and gained the upper hand. Song Yan's army destroyer is going to win. The people of Qin Tian Starfield were overjoyed. In a battle between divine sons, he was finally not as passive and vulnerable as he was when he was fighting with sacred sons. This secret technique is somewhat similar to the divine dragon aspect technique. Lu Ming pondered. He felt that Song Yan's army destroyer's Raging Fire Guardian was somewhat similar to the divine dragon aspect technique. However, he wasn't that optimistic. He was sure that Song Yan's army destroyer would win. Sure enough, at the beginning, Song Yan's army destroyer did indeed have the upper hand, suppressing Qin Wushang and even injuring him. However, after Qin Wushang was injured, the power of the 7 injuries divine fists became stronger. Gradually, it became a tie with Song Yan's army destroyer. One had to admit that the 7 injuries divine fists was really abnormal. The more injured one was, the stronger the power. In a battle, this was extremely advantageous. For example, when others were injured in a battle, their strength would become weaker and weaker, but you would become stronger and stronger. How terrifying was that? Therefore, at the beginning, Song Yan's army destroyer had the upper hand, but in the end, the two of them became a tie. However, it would be difficult for Qin Wuyo to defeat Song Yan's army destroyer. Kill, kill, kill. Song Yan's army destroyer's fighting spirit soared to the sky. His 3-meter-tall body was filled with astonishing flames, and the space was distorted by the flames. His body was covered with a layer of armor, and there were runes flowing on it. He was like an invincible god of fire. The two of them exchanged another 100 moves. Boom. In the end, Qin Wuyo used the 7 injuries divine fists to attack Song Yan's army destroyer and sent Song Yan flying. However, Song Yan's army destroyer controlled the Raging Fire Vajra, and its huge mace hit Qin Wuyo's body. Puff. Qin Wuyo coughed out blood, and his body flew out of the fighting ring like a cannonball. Qin Wuyo and Song Yan's army destroyer flew out of the fighting ring at almost the same time. Then, they took out healing pills at the same time, and started to heal their injuries. There was still no clear victor in this battle, and it ended with both sides suffering heavy injuries. In this way, there were 6 people left in the 9-Ju Heavenly King Palace, and 9 in the Qin Tian Starfield. Clang! The sound of a sword rang, and in the direction of the 9-Ju Heavenly King Palace, a sword light flashed, and a black-clothed young man landed on the fighting ring. This black-clothed young man carried a long sword on his back, and his body was as straight as a divine sword. Boom! The divine power in his body erupted like a volcano, and a ray of sword chi shot up to the sky. What a terrifying sword essence! Many people were shocked when they felt the terrifying sword essence. Even Emojioyi, Sword Dao Wuji, and the others narrowed their eyes. This person was also a divine son, and he possessed divine-grade divine power. His cultivation was at level 6 heavenly god, and he was a terrifying sword cultivator. I am Absolute Sword, and you are also a sword cultivator. Come down and fight, and let me see what kind of strength the peerless sword cultivator of the Qin Tian Star Field has. Absolute Sword looked at Sword Dao Wuji, and his eyes were like divine swords. Just what I want. Sword Dao Wuji also showed a strong fighting spirit. He took a step forward, and his body appeared on the fighting ring. Similarly, a shocking sword essence burst out from his body. Boom! Before the two of them made a move, their sword essences had already clashed in the void, and rays of sword chi spread out in all directions. Bam! Bam! Their gazes met, and two tiny streams of sword chi shot out from their eyes, clashing in the air. Clang! Clang! Then, two sword cries resounded in the sky. The two of them drew their swords at the same time, and the sword light was as bright as the stars, so bright that some people could not open their eyes. Clang! Clang! In midair, the sounds of clashing could be heard. The people could no longer see the two of them, and they could only see two rays of sword chi clashing in the fighting ring. Chapter 29:36. Two sword lights appeared on the right side of the battle stage, then on the left side. Every time they collided, endless sword chi would burst out in all directions, forming a terrifying sword chi storm. Fortunately, they were on the battle stage, and there was a powerful array around the battle stage. The array appeared and blocked all the sword chi storm. Otherwise, it would have caused a terrible disaster. The two of them fought for a while before suddenly stopping. Then, the two figures flew backwards. Two figures, one black and one white, stood on both sides of the battle stage with swords in their hands. However, it could be seen that Limitless Sword's breathing was slightly hurried, while Absolute Sword's breathing was steady. Could it be that Limitless Sword is no match for him? Many people's hearts sank. Absolute Sword's Sword Dao was indeed very powerful. His sword was quick and decisive. In the previous confrontation, he had a slight advantage. Your sword Dao is only at this level? You've disappointed me. Now, it's time to decide the winner. Sunluo Sword Domain, God slaying 10,000 swords. Absolute Sword said coldly. Then, he waved his hand and the battle sword in his hand floated above his head, slightly vibrating. Buzz. Waves of strange field energy emanated from Absolute Sword's body. Suddenly, countless sword shadows appeared around his body. It really looked like countless swords. At a glance, it was impossible to see how many sword images there were. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Countless sword images pierced towards Limitless Sword. Break! Limitless Sword shouted. Sword lights bloomed from his hand, slashing towards those sword images. However, his expression greatly changed as soon as they came into contact, because the power of those sword images was actually very terrifying. Each sword image was like Absolute Sword's full power attack. With so many sword images added together, the power was truly shocking. Limitless Sword's sword light shattered as soon as they came into contact. His body violently shook, and he rapidly retreated, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Several wounds appeared on his body, and blood flowed out. What a terrifying secret technique. Absolute Sword's battle strength is too shocking. At this moment, Bing Xian, Scarlet Flame Devilpine, and Emoji exclaimed in shock. Lu Ming's eyes also focused. The battle prowess of this Absolute Sword was indeed incomparably terrifying. It was much stronger than Qin Wuyo from before. Zhu Jian's talent is extremely outstanding even in the Juju Heavenly King Palace. There aren't many people who can match him at the same level. In the Qin Tian Star Field, it's impossible to defeat him at the same level. In the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, a young man sneered. Lose for me. The Absolute Sword's cold voice sounded as he continued to control the sword shadows to attack the Absolute Sword. Ancient God Body. At this moment, Everlasting Sword Dao let out a roar. His body expanded rapidly, turning into a 100-meter tall, orange-armored ancient god. The battle sword in his hand also expanded rapidly. With a swing of his sword, a sword light as large as a mountain appeared. Bump bump, a series of collision sounds rang out. After the limitless way of the sword transformed into the ancient god body, his strength increased greatly. He finally managed to dodge many of the sword shadows. This is the body of an ancient god. In the 9 absolute heavenly king manner, a youth cried out in surprise, appearing very surprised. I really didn't expect someone from the small Chin heavenly starfield to be able to refine an ancient god body. In the 9 absolute heavenly king manner, an old man stroked his beard and nodded in surprise. It's indeed surprising. However, it's just an orange-armored ancient god body. He's still not a match for the absolute sword. The golden-robed youth said coldly. They seemed to have a good understanding of the ancient god body. They didn't hide their conversation. Lu Ming and the others also heard it. Could it be that there's also someone in the 9 absolute heavenly king manner that has refined an ancient god body? Lu Ming's heart moved and he couldn't help but guess. According to legends, the ancient god was a tyrannical existence that was born naturally during the beginning of the universe. At that time, there were many ancient gods in the world. Since they were able to leave behind their descendants and inheritances in the Chin heavenly starfield, it was highly possible that there were other ancient gods in other places. Lose for me. The limitless way of the sword transformed into an ancient god and waved his long sword, attacking the absolute sword. A mere orange-armored ancient god wants to defeat me? Naive. The absolute sword only revealed a trace of surprise at the beginning, but he quickly regained his composure. With a wave of his hands, countless sword shadows whizzed towards the limitless way of the sword. The endless sword shadows converged into a long river and rushed towards the limitless way of the sword. The limitless way of the sword was 100 meters tall. He waved his huge sword like a stone pillar in the river, blocking the impact of the river water. However, no matter how tough the stone pillar was, it would eventually collapse under the constant impact of the river water. For example, the limitless way of the sword could still resist at the beginning and even charge forward. However, his charging speed became slower and slower, and after a while, not only was he unable to move forward, but he was also forced to retreat. Clang, 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 clang. Countless sword shadows slashed at the limitless way of the sword and the orange scales on his body. Sparks flew everywhere. In the end, the scales on the limitless way of the sword cracked, and sword wounds appeared on his body, causing blood to flow. He was completely unable to defend himself, and the wounds on his body were getting bigger and bigger. Bang! In the end, the limitless way of the sword's body rapidly shrank. He could no longer maintain the ancient god body and reverted back to his normal form. He flew out of the battle stage and fell heavily outside. Limitless, how are you? Immediately, the experts of the invincible Kenzo went up to heal the limitless way of the sword. On the battle stage, Zhu Jian waved his hand, and the sword shadows that filled the sky disappeared without a trace. He calmly stood on the battle stage, looking around. Who wants to fight again? He glanced at the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine, Bing Xian, and Emoji. In his opinion, only the 3 of them from the Chin Tian Starfield could fight against him. I'll do my best to exhaust his divine power. If I can't beat him, you 2 can go. Emoji said to the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and Bing Xian. The Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and Bing Xian were both stronger than him. Now wasn't the time to fight. Then, Emoji directly charged onto the battle stage. 6th level Heavenly God. With your cultivation base, you're still not my match, said Zhu Jian indifferently. He didn't look arrogant, as if he was just stating a fact. Don't be so sure. We'll know after the battle, said Emoji coldly. Then, he stepped forward. Pong Pong. After taking a few steps, Emoji's body rapidly swelled, and he turned into a 100-meter-tall, orange-armored ancient god. Emoji used his full strength as soon as he attacked. In another ancient god body. I didn't expect that there would be more than one person from the Chin Tian Starfield who managed to cultivate the ancient god body. Someone from the 9 extinction Heavenly King residence was astonished. Looks like an ancient god world has appeared in the Chintian starfield, and an ancient god inheritance has appeared. That's why there are so many people who manage to cultivate the ancient god body. It's rare to have such an opportunity in such a remote star field, said an old man from the 9 extinction Heavenly King residence. Chapter 29:37. On the battle stage, Emoju Yi and Absolute Sword were already fighting fiercely. Emoju Ye's battle strength was about the same as the Everlasting Sword Dao. In terms of offensive power, he was slightly weaker than the Everlasting Sword Dao. However, Emoju Ye's techniques were even stranger. However, he was still no match for Absolute Sword. Under Absolute Sword's sword images, he relied on all kinds of strange techniques to last a moment longer than the Everlasting Sword Dao. However, he was still heavily injured and was knocked off the battle stage. Good. Ha ha ha. Absolute Sword is truly a peerless genius. His battle strength is truly high. Some youths from the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace laughed, looking at the people from the Chintian starfield. On the other hand, the Chintian starfield side was silent. There were countless people around the plaza, but no one spoke. The atmosphere was extremely tense. The opponent, a 6th level Heavenly God Realm Divine Sun, had consecutively defeated 2 people of the same level. Emoju Yi and the Everlasting Sword Dao had been defeated consecutively. This was a heavy blow to the Chintian Starfield's people. Now, the opponent still had 6 people, while the Chintian Starfield only had 7 people left. In their opinion, the only ones who had the strength to fight against the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace's heavenly geniuses were the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and Bing Xian. As for the others, facing a heavenly genius like Absolute Sword, they probably wouldn't be able to take a single move. And the opponent still had 6 people, each one of them unfathomably strong. How are they going to fight this battle? Are we sure to lose? There's only 10 years left. Many people felt despair. Even more people could only remain silent, hoping for a miracle to happen. You too, who's up? Absolute Sword's battle intense sword. His gaze locked onto the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and Bing Xian. As for the others, he didn't even spare them a glance. The Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and Bing Xian exchanged a glance. They saw that Lu Ming didn't have any intention of going up, so they could only go up first. I'll go. The Scarlet Flame Devil Pine roared and charged onto the battle stage. You've used up a lot of divine energy. Originally, I didn't want to take advantage of you, but this battle is a battle of attrition. Don't say I won't have an unfair advantage, Crimson Flame Demon Pine said. His voice was deep and strong. As he spoke, he took a step forward and walked towards the Absolute Sword. With every step he took, his aura grew stronger. Boom! Raging flames rushed out of his body. These flames were incomparably viscous, like magma. 7th level of the Heavenly God Realm. The Scarlet Flame Devil Pine is at the 7th level of the Heavenly God Realm. Someone exclaimed. Then, many people in the Chintian Starfield were overjoyed. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's cultivation base had already reached the 7th level of the Heavenly God Realm. There was hope now. 7th level Celestial God? Haha, that's more interesting. Come. The Absolute Sword Silk was fearless. Around his body, sword shadows constantly appeared. Sunluo Sword Domain, 10,000 swords slaying gods kill. Absolute Sword shouted coldly and pressed both of his hands forward. Countless sword shadows attacked the Red Flame Demonic Pine. Roar the Scarlet Flame Demon let out a roar as his body swelled rapidly and transformed into an ancient god. The ancient god that the Red Flame Demonic Pine had transformed into was also a 100-meter-tall ancient god with orange armor. In the past, Bing Qing had told Lu Ming that there were a total of 4 geniuses in the Qin Heavenly Starfield that had successfully refined the ancient god physique. They were Sword Dao Wuji, Emojui, Scarlet Flame Devil Pine, and Bing Xian. As soon as the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine attacked, he transformed into an ancient god physique. At the same time, his ancient god physique was covered in scorching flames. He had merged his innate secret arts with his ancient god physique, making him even stronger. falling star. The scarlet flame devil pine roared and punched with both fists. His fists seemed to have turned into lava, and the lava turned into two huge meteors that shot toward Absolute Sword. The temperature on the stage rapidly rose. Another ancient god physique. Lose. Absolute Sword roared. Thousands of sword shadows formed a river that shot toward the scarlet flame devil pine. Boom. Their attacks collided, causing a series of explosions. At the start, it was difficult to determine a victor, but after a while, the scarlet flame devil pine's fists surged. His lava fists smashed through the thousands of sword shadows and shot toward Absolute Sword. Absolute Sword had fought 2 battles in a row and had exhausted a lot of his divine power. On the other hand, the scarlet flame devil pine's cultivation base was at the 7th level of the heavenly god realm. He wasn't someone that Sword Dao Wuji and Emojui could compare to. You're the one losing. The scarlet flame devil pine roared. His mountain-like fists continued to smash down. The sky shook, and the temperature rose to a terrifying level. Even the air was about to burn. Huge meteors were smashing toward Absolute Sword. Don't be happy too early. Absolute Heaven Strike. Absolute Sword roared. Terrifying sword chi shot out of his eyes. He waved his hands, and the sword shadows in the sky converged into one. Absolute Sword's body seemed to have merged with the thousands of sword shadows, turning into a resplendent sword light. Swish! This sword light instantly destroyed several meteors and shot toward the scarlet flame devil pine. This was Absolute Sword's strongest attack. It was terrifyingly powerful, causing the scarlet flame devil pine's pupils to shrink. Myriad divine fists, star explosion, die, die, die. The scarlet flame devil pine roared. All the flames on his body gathered on his fists. In an instant, he sent out thousands of punches. Those thousands of punches were sent out in an instant. From an outsider's point of view, it looked like thousands of fist shadows had appeared in front of the scarlet flame devil pine. Those fist shadows were completely condensed from flames and shot toward Absolute Sword. Boom! A heaven-shaking explosion came from the battle stage. The entire battle stage was constantly shaking. Boundless energy spread in all directions, but it was blocked by the battle stage's formations. Many people with weaker cultivations could only see the sky full of flames and sword light blocking the figures of the red flame demonic pine and the Absolute Sword. Who's going to win? Many people stared at the battle stage, not even daring to blink. They were afraid they would miss a wonderful scene. Bang! On the battle stage, a huge figure was continuously retreating. Not good. It's the scarlet flame devil pine. He's retreating. The Tian Starfield's people's expressions changed. Their hearts sank. However, the next moment, to their delight, Absolute Sword was sent flying out of the fighting ring like a cannonball. He landed below the fighting ring and staggered backward for a few hundred meters before regaining his balance. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He won. Many people were ecstatic. The scarlet flame devil pine was still standing on the battle stage, but Absolute Sword had already fallen off. Naturally, the scarlet flame devil pine had won. The scarlet flame devil pine is also injured, said someone else. Everyone's joy vanished. Indeed, the scarlet flame demonic pine was also injured. There was a deep sword wound on his chest. It was as if his body had been cut in half. Blood was flowing out unceasingly. Although the scarlet flame devil pine had defeated Absolute Sword, he had also been injured. The Tian Starfield had only won a small victory. The situation was still very unfavorable for them. Chapter 29:38. I've lost. Peerless Sword said coldly. With a flicker, he returned to the crowd of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace and sat down with his legs crossed to heal his wounds. However, no one dared to underestimate Peerless Sword. Peerless Sword had defeated Sword Dao Wuji and Emoju Yi at the beginning, exhausting a great amount of his divine force. However, he was still able to fight the 7th layer Heaven God Realm Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine until both of them were injured. His strength was truly terrifying. If Peerless Sword was at his peak, he might not necessarily lose to the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. As such, The 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace still had 5 people left. The Chintian Starfield still had 7 people. Although they still had the advantage in terms of numbers, the people of the Chintian Starfield were not confident at all. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine did not speak. He was taking the opportunity to heal his wounds, hoping to recover more of his strength. 7th layer Heaven God Realm with the Ancient God Flesh. Your strength is not bad among the 7th layer Heaven Gods. The golden-robed young man from the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace spoke once again. He slowly walked forward and landed on the fighting ring. Jin Xing is going to make his move. Jin Xing is finally going to make his move. Well, with him around, the battle will come to an end, saving me the trouble. Let's just enjoy the show. The remaining young men of the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace burst out laughing with a relaxed look, as if they were sure to win the battle. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine looked at the golden-robed young man with a stern look. The golden-robed young man had been representing the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace since the beginning. It was obvious that his talent was quite outstanding. You should take the time to recover. I'll give you a chance. Jin Xing said calmly. He stood still and allowed the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine to recover with a confident look. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine did not show any mercy. He took out a few pills to recover his divine force and consumed them. He then executed a technique to recover his strength. The wound on his chest began to wriggle at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was recovering rapidly. Half an hour later, the wound on the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's chest had completely disappeared. He had also recovered to his peak. Bring it on. Even though you're giving me time to recover, I won't go easy on you. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine stared at Jin Xing with a strong battle intent. However, Jin Xing shook his head and said, You alone are no match for me. You should also attack together. Jin Xing's last sentence was directed at the Ice Immortal. What? He's challenging the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and the Ice Immortal at the same time? Could it be that his cultivation has already reached the 8th layer Heaven God Realm? Someone was shocked. No, I've observed him. His cultivation is at the 6th layer Heaven God Realm. In the Qin Heavenly Star region, a white-haired God King said, What? He's only at the 6th level of the Celestial God Realm. Yet he's so confident to challenge the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine at the same time? Where did he get his confidence from? That's right, the Absolute Sword is strong enough. But at his peak, he is at most comparable to the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. In the Chintian Star Field, many people roared in disbelief. A 6th-level heavenly god actually challenged the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine and the Ice Immortal at the same time. The Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine were equally famous. The two of them had fought many times in the past, and it was hard to determine the victor. The Scarlet Flame Devil Pine had broken through to the 7th level of the Heavenly God Realm, so the Ice Immortal should be at the same level. Moreover, they were all divine sons, peerless geniuses. Where did Jin Xing get his confidence from? You really want to challenge the two of us? This doesn't conform to the rules. If we win, the Ice Immortal Dao. If you can win, then it's your victory. Before the Ice Immortal could speak, Jin Xing said indifferently, All right. The Ice Immortal directly agreed. Since the other party was so confident, how could he not agree? Taking a step forward, the Ice Immortal also appeared on the battle stage, standing side by side with the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. The Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine, one cold and one hot, formed a terrifying wave that surged towards Jin Xing. Bang. Jin Xing took a step forward and unleashed all of his aura. 6th layer Heaven God Realm. His cultivation was indeed at the 6th layer Heaven God Realm. Golden divine power covered his entire body, instantly defeating the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's aura. Ice Immortal, you go left, I'll go right. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine transmitted to the Ice Immortal, then charged towards Jin Xing's right. At the same time, the Ice Immortal charged towards Jin Xing's left. While charging, the Ice Immortal's body rapidly enlarged, turning into an ancient god body. Once the Ice Immortal made his move, everyone knew his cultivation was at the 7th layer Heaven God Realm. Falling Star. Rapid Ice Sword. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine and the Ice Immortal used their trump cards at the same time, attacking Jin Xing. Since Jin Xing was so confident, he definitely had terrifying strength. They didn't think Jin Xing was just showing off. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine and the Ice Immortal were mortal enemies. They had fought each other countless times, so they understood each other the best. Their cooperation was flawless. The two attacks wanted to drown Jin Xing. Jin Xing, who was the size of a normal person, was like an ant in front of the 200-meter-tall ancient god bodies. However, Jin Xing's expression was calm in the face of their pincer attack. Void-breaking hand, muttered Jin Xing. His two palms turned golden, as if they were made of gold. Then he sent a palm at the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. Boom, boom. Jin Xing's golden palm collided with the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's attacks. Then the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's meteor directly exploded. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's body shook violently, and he was forced back. At the same time, the Ice Immortal's attack also exploded, and he was forced back. This scene was extremely shocking and impactful. It was like two elephants had been forced back by an ant. How is this possible? Many people found it hard to believe. The Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine were 7th-level heavenly gods, divine sons. Moreover, they had used a secret technique like the ancient god bodies, but they were still no match for Jin Xing. What terrifying power! Lu Ming's gaze fell on Jin Xing's two golden palms. Just now, Lu Ming had sensed a terrifying destructive power erupting from Jin Xing's palms. It had defeated the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's attacks. Void-breaking hand? Muttered Lu Ming. This was a terrifying secret technique. Get down! Shouted Jin Xing after forcing the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine back. He took a step forward and charged at the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine, sending a palm at the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. A golden palm formed. It was incomparably huge, even bigger than the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's ancient god body. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine roared, and his two fists continuously punched out. His lava-like fists continuously bombarded the golden palm. However, the golden palm's power was shocking. As it crushed down, the lava-like fists kept exploding. Chapter 29:39. On the other side, Bing Xian also attacked Jin Xing when he was attacking the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine. However, Jin Xing waved his hand and a golden sword flew out, blocking Bing Xian's attack. No matter how Bing Xian attacked, the golden sword was able to stop him. Jin Xing was attacking the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine with all his strength. The golden palm pressed down, forcing the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine to retreat. Jin Xing's strength was truly shocking. They were both at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm, but he was stronger than Zhu Jian. No wonder he dared to challenge the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine and Bing Xian at the same time. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine roared and used all his strength, but unfortunately, he was still no match for Jin Xing Shua. Jin Xing quickly approached the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine, and his golden palm slashed down again. The terrifying power caused the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's pupils to shrink. He roared and punched out twice with his fists wrapped in magma. However, the moment his fist collided with Jin Xing's palm, his fist exploded. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine screamed and retreated. Get lost! Jin Xing was like a golden ray of light, and his palm slammed into the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's chest. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine screamed again. His ancient god body's defensive power couldn't stop Jin Xing's attack. A large hole appeared in his chest, and he flew out of the stage. When he flew out of the stage, the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's body returned to its normal size, and he heavily fell off the stage, coughing up blood. Everyone saw that a large hole had appeared in the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's chest. His flesh had already disappeared. It was a tragic sight. The Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine quickly took out a healing divine pill and ate it. As a result, only Bing Xian was left on the battle stage. Shua. After defeating the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine, Jin Xing turned around and attacked Bing Xian. Bing Xian's expression changed, and he retreated, not daring to face Jin Xing head-on. Ice Seal. Bing Xian sent out several palms, and the stage turned into a world of ice. He planned to use the moving method to fight Jin Xing. and then find an opportunity to see if he could win. You want to use this method to fight me? How foolish. Void-shattering palm, shouted Jin Xing. He was surrounded by dazzling golden light. In the sky, a gigantic golden palm was formed, covering the entire battle stage and pressing down. As such, no matter what, the Ice Immortal would be enveloped by the palm imprint. No matter what, she would have to clash head-on with her opponent. The Ice Immortal had no choice but to use her full strength to block the palm attack. Facing Jin Xing alone, he was even less of a match for him. In the end, his result was the same as the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine Tree. He was sent flying out of the battle platform, heavily injured. Jin Xing defeated the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine by himself. In the Qin Tian Starfield, many people were pale. Be defeated. The Qin Tian Starfield was defeated. The Ice Immortal, the Red Flame Devil Pine, the Sword Dao Wuji, Emojui, Song Yin, and Pijuan were defeated one after another. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. It seemed that the time that he wanted to fight for was no longer possible. Sigh, only 10 years? If we can't find the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion in 10 years, then when the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion's army arrives, all the powers of the Qin Tian Starfield will be exterminated. Who is it that stole the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion? Many people were roaring in their hearts. In their opinion, this battle had already ended with the defeat of the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine Tree. Although the Qin Tian Starfield has a few heavenly geniuses, they are still unable to withstand a single blow. Therefore, you only have 10 years. If you can't hand over the treasures after 10 years, then wait to be exterminated. Jin Xing said coldly. The battle hasn't ended yet. It's still too early for you to come to a conclusion. At this moment, a voice sounded. The person who spoke was naturally Lu Ming. Many people looked at Lu Ming. Could it be that he still wants to go up and compete? Although we still have 5 people left, the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine Tree have both been defeated. What's the use of the remaining 5 people going up? The outcome is already decided. Many people shook their heads and sighed. Young man, forget it. Let's admit defeat in this battle. There's no need to humiliate ourselves. An old man advised Lu Ming. He had good intentions. In this competition, there was no rule that stated that one could not kill. If the difference in strength was too great, it would be a shame if one was killed by a palm strike. Junior is unwilling to accept the fact that we haven't fought. Lu Ming smiled and walked towards the battle platform. He landed on the platform and faced Jin Xing. You want to fight me? Jin Xing was also taken aback. His eyes flickered with golden light as he clearly saw Lu Ming's cultivation base. 3rd level Celestial Goda, 3rd level, Heavenly God actually wanted to fight with him? What a joke. Even 7th level Celestial God prodigies like Bing Xian and Scarlet Flame Devil Pine were no match for him. What could a 3rd level Celestial God do? Even if the godly power he controlled was divine-grade godly power, he could crush it with a single finger. 10 years is too short. We won't be able to find the treasure you want. So, we can only fight for 1,000 years. Lu Ming smiled. However, if we were to risk it, we might end up paying with our lives. Jin Xing said, Of course I know, but I'm afraid you're still a little lacking if you want to take my life. Lu Ming smiled faintly, looking confident. This made many people in Qin Tian Starfield curl their lips. This Lu Ming was too confident. With Jin Xing's terrifying strength, it was still a little lacking to take his life. Jin Xing would probably be smashed to pieces in a single move. This brat waited until now to fight with Jin Xing. He's really courting death. Qin Wuyo mocked from the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace's side. He originally thought that Lu Ming would hide and not dare to fight. He did not expect to wait until now to come out and fight. In his opinion, it was not a coward, but a fool. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, Yu Linglong and the others clenched their fists tightly. Although they knew that Lu Ming was very strong, the strength that Jin Xing had just displayed was too terrifying. Could Lu Ming really fight with Jin Xing? They were not confident in their hearts. Young Master will definitely win. Only Autumn Moon was completely confident in Lu Ming. She had watched Lu Ming's rise. Along the way, Lu Ming had created too many miracles. She always believed that Lu Ming would not lose. Is that so? You're very confident. I hope you have the capital to be confident. Jin Xing sneered. Golden light spread out from his body as he prepared to attack. Wait. At this moment, Lu Ming shouted. Jin Xing, who was about to step forward, stopped in his tracks. He almost could not catch his breath. What is this brat doing? Many people looked at each other. What are you doing? Jin Xing clenched his teeth and asked. I still don't want to fight with you right now. What's your name again? That's right, Qin Wuyo, that Qin Wuyo. Didn't you always want to fight with me? Come, I'll give you a chance to fight. Lu Ming looked at Qin Wuyo. Chapter 2940. What? He wants to challenge Qin Wuyo? Many people were stunned. They couldn't figure out Lu Ming's plan at all. Even Qin Wuyo himself had a dumbfounded expression. He had already been defeated before. He had never imagined that Lu Ming would challenge him now. Are you sure you want to challenge Qin Wuyo first? Qin Wuyo has already been defeated. If you really want to challenge him, don't say that we broke the rules. Jin Xing said. Don't worry, it won't take much effort to deal with him. Lu Ming said loudly. Many people looked at him with disdain. He really didn't know how to brag. Qin Wuyo was also a divine son. His strength was about the same as Zhang Yan and Pao Jun's. Lu Ming actually said it wouldn't take much effort to deal with him. Who did he think he was? Jin Xing? What is this Lu Ming doing? Emo Jui, Jian Daowuji, and the others were also confused. They didn't know what Lu Ming wanted to do. Emo Jui had fought with Lu Ming 200 years ago. He knew Lu Ming's strength. Lu Ming was at most a bit stronger than him. It was possible for him to defeat Qin Wuyo, but they didn't believe it would take much effort. I accept this battle, Qin Wuyo shouted. His figure flashed, and he appeared on the stage. He had been thinking of killing Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming was courting death, how could he miss this opportunity? All right, then I'll leave him to you. Jin Xing nodded and retreated to the side. From his point of view, Lu Ming was only at the 3rd level of the heavenly god realm. Qin Wuyo was enough. You should have more or less recovered. I'll let you attack first. In the future, you won't have a chance to attack. Lu Ming shouted, but in the eyes of others, he was just showing off. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. 7 injuries divine fist, kill. Qin Wuyo made his move. His first move was the 7 injuries divine fist. Actually, he didn't dare to underestimate Lu Ming. After all, Qin Wushang and the others had been ruthlessly beaten up by Lu Ming at the Kongxian school. One had to know that the strength of Qin Wushang and the others wasn't considered low. Therefore, Qin Wuyo immediately used his ultimate move to kill Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming also made his move, but Lu Ming did not activate the battle character secret art to multiply his combat strength, nor did he transform into his ancient god body. 10 divine fires burned fiercely in his body, and a tremendous amount of god power surged. Ice chains. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and 9 ice chains rushed out from his body. Shoo shoo 9 ice chains, like 9 long snakes, rushed towards Qin Wuyo. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, the ice chains he used were shockingly powerful. In particular, the 9th chain had refined a ball of special icy cold liquid. As Lu Ming's cultivation level increased, the power of the ball of liquid became more and more stimulated. Wherever the 9 ice chains passed, the temperature in the air would rapidly drop, and ice crystals would appear. Break for me! Qin Wuyo loudly shouted, wanting to break the ice chains. But when his fist energy collided with the ice chains, his expression wildly changed. He felt an extremely cold chill spread towards him, and he felt as if all the blood in his body was about to be frozen. He roared, and used his own strength to injure himself to increase the power of the 7 injuries divine fist. Boom! After injuring himself, the power of the 7 injuries divine fist had indeed increased by a level. His fist energy flourished, and among the 9 ice chains, 8 of them violently trembled and then collapsed. But the 9th ice chain was incomparably tough. It directly broke through his fist energy and wrapped around Qin Wuyo. At the same time, the ice chain's cold intent crazily surged out, sealing Qin Wuyo in ice. Qin Wuyo's body stiffened in midair. Bang Lu Ming controlled the ice shackles, swinging it up and smashing it heavily on the fighting ring. The fighting ring shook violently. Qin Wuyo screamed miserably after being smashed. Dozens of bones were broken all over his body. He spat out mouthfuls of blood like a dead fish. The entire crowd was deathly silent. They were all dumbfounded. Many people thought they were dreaming, or that their eyes were playing tricks on them. A person at the level of a divine son, a genius who had been severely injured in the battle with Blue Flame's destroyer army previously, was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. This was simply like a dream. Bang! Just as everyone was in a daze, Lu Ming lifted Qin Wuyo up again and smashed him heavily on the fighting ring. Qin Wuyo let out a shrill scream. This time, he was even more seriously injured. He was like a pile of mud, rolling his eyes and vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Everyone was finally roused from their stupor, and then they burst into an uproar. He won. Lu Ming actually won. Amazing! This Qin Wushang's strength isn't any weaker than Song Yin and Jun Pur, but he was defeated in one move. This is too exaggerated. I never thought that the Kongxian school would have such a powerful genius. I've never heard of him before. The Qin Tian Starfield's people were both astonished and excited. They had already given up all hope, but now they couldn't help feeling a tiny bit of hope. Of course, it was only a tiny bit. After all, Jin Xing was too strong. Amongst them, the most shocked were Emo Jui, Jin Dao Wuji, Song Yin, and Jun Pe. 200 years ago, Emo Jui had fought with Lu Ming. At that time, Lu Ming's strength was only slightly stronger than Emo Jui's. They were on the same level. But now, Qin Wuyo, who had fought with Song Yin and Jun Pe, had been defeated by Lu Ming in one move. Didn't this mean that Lu Ming's strength was far above theirs? Third level Heavenly God. His cultivation base has broken through to the third level. How could he break through 2 levels in just 200 years? Emo Jui roared inwardly. 200 years ago, he clearly knew that Lu Ming's cultivation base was only at the first level of the Heavenly God realm. In the Heavenly God realm, breaking through one level required a very long time. Even if they were peerless geniuses, it wouldn't be a short amount of time. 200 years was truly too short. Unless he had a huge fortuitous encounter. He must have had a fortuitous encounter in these years. Damn it! Emo Jui and Jian Dao Wuji roared inwardly. They were so jealous that they wanted to die. I've lost. Let me down. At this moment, Qin Wuyo roared, letting you down just because you've lost? You're too naive. Lu Ming said indifferently. He looked at Bing Xian and said, this guy killed one of your people. Today, I'll take his life in exchange for yours. Hearing this, Qin Wuyo was scared out of his wits. He frantically struggled, but he was sealed by the ice chains. There was no way he could struggle. He could only yell crazily, no, you can't kill me, you can't, save me, stop. On the other side, Jin Xing also yelled and charged at Lu Ming, trying to save Qin Wuyo. However, Lu Ming would not give him the chance. A powerful force rushed through the ice chains and into Qin Wuyo's body. Qin Wuyo let out an unwilling cry as his body was torn apart, dying on the spot. Chapter 29:41. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't thought that Lu Ming would really dare to kill Qin Wuyo. No matter how arrogant Qin Wuyo was, he was still a heavenly genius of the 9-extinction Heavenly King Palace. His decisiveness was truly shocking. Lu Ming, you dare kill a heavenly genius of my Qin family? You're courting death. Roared a heavenly genius of the Qin family, glaring at Lu Ming. But Lu Ming directly ignored him and looked at Bing Xian. A life for a life. I'll help you take back the life of that brother from the Ice Soul race. Many thanks. Bing Xian cupped her fists. To tell the truth, she also wanted to kill Qin Wuyo, but she didn't have the chance. Boom. At this moment, the stage shook. Jin Xing landed on the stage, his body erupting with resplendent golden light. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were cold as he stared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, right? Very good. Your strength has exceeded my expectations. Now, I'll be your opponent. Wait, shouted Lu Ming. Jin Xing was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He gloomily stared at Lu Ming. What do you want now? Nothing. I just feel like you're not my opponent. Call a few more people to come at me together, said Lu Ming. What? Everyone's eyes widened. They thought they had misheard. Lu Ming actually said Jin Xing wasn't his opponent and wanted to call a few more people to come at him together? Arrogant. Arrogant. Jin Xing had called Bing Xian and the Scarlet Flame Devil Pine together. That was already arrogant enough. But now, Lu Ming was even more arrogant. The power Jin Xing had just displayed was extremely terrifying. But now, Lu Ming actually said Jin Xing wasn't strong enough. Although Lu Ming had easily defeated Qin Wuyo, Jin Xing wasn't someone Qin Wuyo could compare to. Although their cultivation bases were the same, Jin Xing could probably defeat Qin Wuyo in one move. Arrogant. Why would I need others to deal with you? Let me see what kind of ability you have, shouted Jin Xing. His golden light became even more dazzling. Thump thump. Jin Xing took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Lu Ming. A golden palm chopped down at Lu Ming. Before the palm arrived, the terrifying force had already surged towards Lu Ming, erupting with a terrifying cutting power. If it was an ordinary third-level heavenly god, they would probably be torn apart by this terrifying force. However, Lu Ming was not an ordinary third-level celestial deity. His battle strength was many times stronger than an ordinary third-layer heaven god. At that instant, the 10 god flames in his body surged fiercely. 10 streams of powerful god force gathered together and sprang forward. At the same time, Lu Ming activated the battle character secret art to quadruple his combat strength. His combat strength skyrocketed. Lu Ming activated the divine dragon aspect art and punched out. Surging divine power surged towards Lu Ming's palm. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens as a 9-clawed dragon flew out from Lu Ming's fist. Its 9 claws grabbed at Jin Xing and collided with his golden palm. Bang bang bang. 9 consecutive explosions took place. Strong gusts of wind swept in all directions from the point of collision. Hand of the void. Shatter everything. Die. Jin Xing snapped coldly. His palm glowed even brighter. The 9-clawed dragon aspect shuddered violently before it exploded. Jin Xing's hair drifted wildly as he roared. So this is what makes you so arrogant? How disappointing. You'll lose. Saying this, Jin Xing threw another palm at Lu Ming. Let's do this then, Lu Ming said calmly as he threw a few punches forward. Roar roar. A series of dragon roars took place. Every time Lu Ming threw a punch, a 9-clawed dragon would fly out. 6 9-clawed dragons flew toward Jin Xing and attacked him fiercely. Jin Xing's expression changed slightly. He had only used one of his palms before, but now he was using the second one. 2 golden palms flew forward and struck at the 9-clawed dragon aspect. Jin Xing's hand of the void seemed ordinary. There was no rare phenomenon when he attacked, but its power was indeed shocking. It was said to be able to sever the void. Each time it collided with the 9-clawed dragon aspect, the 9-clawed dragon aspect would tremble violently. The two exchanged a few hundred blows in an intense battle. The surrounding people were already stunned. They never thought that Lu Ming would be able to fight against Jin Xing. Many people had thought that Lu Ming was just bragging, but now it seemed that Lu Ming was really capable, even if he was bragging a little by challenging so many people at the same time. This guy is so strong. At this moment, the geniuses of the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Palace and the seniors were astounded. A third-layer heaven god is able to resist Jin Xing's hand of the void. Even the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Palace has never seen such a genius before. An old man exclaimed. It was too terrifying for a third-layer heaven god to fight against Jin Xing. Jin Xing was also a peerless genius. Although he was only a 6th-layer heaven god, he could easily slay an ordinary 9th-layer heaven god. However, it was unheard of for a 3rd-layer heavenly god to possess such powerful combat strength. I'm afraid such a genius would only appear in the core of the sacred dynasty. Another old man in the 9 Extinction, Heavenly King Palace exclaimed. It was beyond their expectation that such a genius would appear in the tiny Qin Tian star field. Icy chains. At this moment, Lu Ming used the ice chains. 9 chains wrapped around Jin Xing, exuding a shocking chill. Void-shattering sword, Jin Xing said coldly. His forehead emitted a golden glow as a golden battle sword flew out. Whoosh! The golden battle sword slashed down and cut 2 ice chains in half. Then, with another slash, a few more ice chains were cut in half. In the end, only the 9th icy chain stood a chance against Jin Xing. Very good, Lu Ming. I didn't expect that you would be able to force me to this extent. It's your honor to be able to see my ultimate move next. Ancient shattering, Jin Xing roared. The golden battle sword flew toward Jin Xing and was grabbed by him. However, Jin Xing was not planning to attack with the battle sword. The battle sword melted in Jin Xing's hand like a puddle of golden liquid, merging with Jin Xing's palm. Whoosh! Jin Xing clasped his hands and slashed down. Rip! A terrifying golden ray burst out and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes glittered. With a thought, 6 nine-claw dragon images lunged at Jin Xing. However, the golden ray was truly terrifying. When the first 9-clawed dragon image collided with the golden ray, its claw crumbled, followed by its body, which was split in half. Then, the second and the third. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.